Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to Regaining Your Emotional State. I can already see a few impatient teachers here. Impatient, I'm just joking. Excited, that's really good. David, nice to have you here. Good morning to you. Virginia is here as well. I'm so happy. And Maya Slavkovic, too. Beautiful. So we've got a few teachers here. How are you today? How are you today, and what brought you to this live session? What are you expecting to achieve? How are you maybe expecting to feel after this session? If you can just let me know, and if you can let me know if you can hear me and see me as well. You should be able to see me and hear me, but just in case. David is saying, I'm feeling great. So good. So, why did you come to this session, David? So, this session is going to be about regaining emotional balance. Do you think, now everybody, not just David, that we can have this perfect emotional balance like forever? Yeah, and Archie joined us as well. Nice to have you here, Archie. Great. So the question was, do you think we can actually achieve this perfect emotional balance? That's one question. Another one was, how are you today? If you want something easier, how are you? Depending how you feel. Virginia is saying, can hear and see you. I'm feeling calm and grateful today. Um, Thank you so much, Virginia, for letting us know and feeling calm and grateful. These are two of the best feelings one can feel. So it's good to hear that. Um, yes, and David is saying, I recently signed up for coaching with James. Great. This is a good decision, David, and wish you good luck with that. So this session is about mindset. And I decided to do this every 2 weeks. So it's the same time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. London time, 2 p.m. European time, every other Wednesday. So it's going to be in 2 weeks from now. And every week we have a different topic. And this topic was actually picked by, and let me just tell you the name, was picked by Katia. Katia. Because last time in last session, I asked people what kind of topics they would like to have, and this was picked by Katia. So if you have an idea of the topic you would love to do in terms of mindset, I'm more than happy to put it on the list, and it's going to be one of the topics for the future. Um, Good. David is saying, I want to be the best ESL teacher in the world and the leading expert in the second language acquisition. This is really good, David. It's very important that you have this intention, that you are in this mindset of you already, wanting it and seeing yourself that way. And then with the right strategy that James will provide you with, of course, you're going to achieve it. I don't see it otherwise. Maya, find not perfect balance, but maintain it. That's a good point. So this is what we are going to speak about, how you can maintain it. And I'm going to share something with you which was shocking for me when I learned it from my coaches, and I was dutifully and diligently applying everything the hard way. So I'm this kind of student that really applies everything I learn, and sometimes it's quite painful. So I will share some things from my own personal experience with regaining emotional balance. And Katia, nice to have you here. It was your choice of this topic, so we are just doing what you asked us to do, and that was your wish. So this is what we are doing today. Virginia is saying emotional balance, I think, is a fluid, exquisite balance. I think it's possible to develop micro adjustments to get close to constant emotional balance and control. I like these micro adjustments. So, actually, Virginia, today, this session is going to be about micro adjustments. And there are different types of micro adjustments I will be touching on. Katya is saying, I'm doing great and I'm hoping to find my emotional balance rather than being negative towards my connections. Thank you, Katya, for being honest and for sharing your intention. And nice to have you here, Nabila. So, the first, actually, I already asked you the first question, but one of the next questions I have for you is that have you experienced emotional reaction in the past few days or maybe past few weeks? And if so, how did you respond to it or how did you approach it? Maybe this way you can share with me as well, those of you who haven't experienced any emotional reaction in the past few days and weeks, how do you usually approach those situations that make you angry or sad or ashamed or guilty or any other feelings that seem to be unpleasant? How do you usually approach it? So, what is your method? What is your way of approaching it? I'll be sharing at least three today, but I would love to hear yours. If you have had an emotional reaction, just say yes, or just say emotional reaction. If you want to go into more detail, or even maybe into more useful tips, how you approached it, then we will be very happy to read this. Yes. So Virginia is saying yes. Is it possible to avoid them? Like completely avoid them? Is it possible not to have any emotional reactions? What do you think? I would love these sessions to be really engaging and interactive, and I would love if everybody can, if you can, of course, to interact. And I will be reading out your comments and just following up on those comments, because it's important for me to see where we are with the energy and with the awareness about this topic. Okay, so the question was, is it possible to avoid it? Yes, David is saying actually, I have to be very mindful when I'm making phone calls to prospective students. Sometimes I get irritated by the repetitive questions or when students aren't grasping the value that I provide. So this is really good. And I would love to come back to this, David, when we go through these three different methods, because it's a good example, if you don't mind. And Maya is saying, no, it is possible to refine them. Okay. So, what I'm going to actually mention today, and probably some of you read my post when I was already preparing you for the topic. I like to share these snippets of my Always Future Mindset Live session. And in these snippets, I was sharing that we can actually hack into our emotional state through different ways. If we want to regain this emotional balance, we can hack into our emotional state, or we can get through our emotional state in different three ways. Does anybody remember? That was one of my recent posts, but what do you think? What three ways, three channels maybe there are for us to hack into our emotional state? And in the meantime, Virginia is saying, I think it's unwise to mute our emotional reactions. This is what makes us human. Acknowledging these emotions, thanking them, and recognizing them as normal is key for me. This is a good point, exactly. So it's not possible to avoid emotional reactions. And actually, why should we? They make us human beings, right? But how can we actually eloquently and gracefully approach them? That's a question. And there are these three different ways. And David already mentions one of them, which is part of this kind of subgroup. And that's breathing and purposefully focusing on breath, empathizing. I like this one. Yes, that's one of those, David. Um, okay, great. So there are three. We can hack into our emotional state through our thoughts, body, and feelings. Which one would you like to start with? I'll let you choose. And we will definitely go at least through two of them. This session is scheduled to, take about 30 minutes. I think last time we spent a little bit more than 30 minutes, but we will definitely be able to go through two of them. But which one would you like to start with? So through thoughts, body, and feelings. Okay, Virginia and Maya, body. Good. Okay, David as well. So let's just start with that. So basically, what is this about? When we think certain thoughts, then we feel certain way, and that feeling is manifested, is shown through our body. So we do different things, we act in certain way, we maybe have different facial expressions or different body language when we just let our emotions, right, our feelings manifest through our body. And sometimes we can be maybe just looking down. We can have this low energy by just by just kind of sitting maybe, or just doing something with our body that shows everybody else that we are not okay. Now, for us to hack into our emotional state through our body, there are different things we can do, physical things, and it's different for every single person. How we can actually raise our energy, how we can actually regain our emotional state, or just get better with that feeling, somehow um, get better in our emotional state. Now, what are the physical, maybe actions that help you get better with your feelings? So you can share what are physical actions or things to you do through your body that makes you feel better. In my case, for example, very often when I don't feel well and I want to feel better, because one thing is, if you don't want to feel better, you don't have to do any of this. It doesn't make sense. But if you feel like, okay, I had enough of this kind of down energy, and I don't want to be really engaging with these unpleasant feelings too much, I want to feel better, then I can, in my case, it's like open my body and really do a lot of kind of body posture, um, which shows that I am confident and strong. You can't see my feet right now, but it's kind of, they are apart from each other a little bit, and I am standing like on the ground with very kind of firm posture right now. So this is what really helps me and gives me strength. Then David, exactly, Superman posture. That's exactly what it is. So I do have now Superwoman posture, and you can try it, all of you. If you can, I don't know, if you are in that position, you can just try this woman Superman posture. Uh, I I, for example, really, really like dancing. So sometimes when I feel so down and nothing else helps, even if I go through my thoughts, through my feelings, which I will be speaking about later, I sometimes go to a class which is called Sweatergy. So it's really, you sweat a lot and you do get a lot of energy from that class. And that really helps me, because there is where I switch off and I kind of become just observant of my feelings through these activity. So for me, it's dance. For Virginia, it's stretching, breathing, and movement. Yes, exactly. So I don't know what kind of stretching, Virginia. I wish you could show us. You can't, but I guess different stretching where you can just stretch different parts of your body. Um, and breathing, yes, that's one of the very popular techniques, and it's actually effective. David mentioned that technique before as well. It does help. It definitely does help. But for me, not always. Is when I really feel like I had a strong emotional reaction. Breathing is good, but I think dancing for me is much better. Um, or even for me, it's steam room, and then cold shower, like super cold shower, and then steam room and being inside for 15 minutes. So that really helps me, this kind of shock, for my body. For Orsi, it's yoga and walking in the nature. Yes, and there are different types of yoga. So, for example, there is yin yoga as well, which doesn't help me as much when I have emotional reaction. But Kundalini yoga, that's what I practice, that helps me. So for everybody is a different type of exercise, or maybe even different type of yoga. Maybe for some people it's all type of yoga, but the most important thing is to really become aware what works for me, because what works for me may not work for you. But just to get to know ourselves, and then knowing what we can do when we have this emotional reaction. And walking in the nature, yes, also that's definitely one of my favorite ones as well. um, so yes, that's a good one. And actually I even like walking in the nature when it's raining. For some reason, this rain feels like it really showers and washes off the emotions that I maybe don't necessarily want to have for too long. So that feels great too. And yes, great. Marianne is actually dancing. So she dances. What kind of dance do you dance, Marianne? Or does it matter what kind of dance? But I'm just curious. Virginia is also saying, I love rain. Yes, yes, me too, Virginia. I just love when it's raining. You sometimes get a cold after that. If you're outside, it rains and you get soaked, but it really helps with this energy. It clears everything, clears the air, and it clears your inner road. as well. It's kind of healing in a way. For Lee, it's walking outside as well. Yes. Lee, would you say by the beach or in the forest, or it doesn't really matter? Yes. And actually, Marian is saying as well, also walk around in the garden. Yes. So walking in the garden and being in contact with nature, and gardening is your favorite activity, Marian. So that definitely helps and calms you down. Virginia is saying micro movements throughout the day, even when I don't feel consciously stressed. Yes, that's a very good point, Virginia. So what you're talking about is not just like how to deal with um, emotional reaction when it happens, but actually how to even prevent it, or how to make it as as calm as possible when it comes, or as normal as possible when it comes. So you're actually preparing yourself or preventing that from happening. Maya is saying feeling some part of the body. Yes, that's a good one, Maya. So basically that means you focus consciously on different parts of your body, and by you focusing on that, you become present. And when we are really, really present, which I don't think happens that often, even in my world, it's really hard to be really, really present and not to live either in the past or in the future. But when we become present, there is not really any unpleasant emotion because it's just presence. So feeling some part of the body does help with that focus. Um, yes, so for Katia, it's just action, just doing some kind of action. And Marian actually likes dancing on salsa, yes, with loud Latin American music. That's exactly what I do, Marian, actually. If I don't go for the group class, I sometimes just dance in the kitchen, and it really works equally well. Um, yes, and also Marian is saying when she's doing gardening or when she's walking in the garden and seeing new flowers appear, that's very exciting and puts her in a great mood. Yes, that's good. And you know yourself, Marian, so you know this garden is like your oasis. Um, yes, exactly. And playing tennis. Wow. That's a good one, actually. You know what, Ali? I'm happy you mentioned that. So I'm not very good at tennis, and actually I haven't played it many times, but I do play ping pong. So it's table tennis. And that one really helps because you have to be so focused on that little ball because literally it's microseconds, uh, before it comes back. And then it feels like you're really present. You can't feel anything else, just focusing on that ball. And actually, when I was playing, when I was emotionally literally what was the title, emotional literacy support assistant, working with children in the secondary school. And I had I had a student who actually was experiencing different ways of psychosis, and we were playing tennis together, table tennis. And that was really one of the ways when he was so calm and present and happy and joyful. And I realized through this game that actually it was helping me as well. It's just I don't have a table tennis at home, but it's a good way. So basically, we already shared quite a few ways, and the purpose of this sharing is or was to make us aware that we need to know ourselves and know what works for us. We did share different things, so maybe we get inspired from each other as well. But the most important thing is not just what others tell you, like just do this because this will help you, but really, really listen to yourself and trust yourself that you know what you need to do physically through your body in that situation when you feel like having this emotional reaction. Good. So that was the first one, through your body, how you can regain emotional balance and how you can hack into your emotional state through your body. So the second one would be either through feelings or thoughts. Which one would you like to continue with? I will let you choose. We will definitely do two at least, and third only if we have time. So through your thoughts or through your feelings? Feelings. Okay, David is saying feelings. Good, David. As nobody else is saying anything else. By the rule of democracy, you won. Maya. Maya. Okay, contribute as well to feelings. Good. So, How can we hack into our emotional state? Through feelings. So when we feel certain emotion, what do you think is the first thing we need to do with that? What is it? What do you think? Like, you feel certain emotion, and that emotion potentially doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel not good. It's kind of unpleasant emotion. So what is the first thing? There will be 4 steps I want to share with you today. And what is the first step? The really, really first step. Okay, so David is saying recognize it. Virginia, acknowledge. Mhm. Anybody else? What is the first step? You basically use the same word, just a synonym of it. And you are both right. Yes, it's that. It's become aware. So become aware means acknowledge, recognize, maybe even name it how you feel. So if you feel angry, just say it. I feel angry. If you feel upset, just say I feel upset. So name it or even label it, that emotion. Name it what it is, and once we do it, once we acknowledge, recognize it, and kind of like name it, it does help us separate from that feeling. So that feeling is separated from who we are, which means like we can be experiencing that, but that feeling is not us, or we are not that feeling. So that's the first step. Exactly, it's always become aware. With almost everything, we need to become aware. If you want to improve something, make something better, we need to be aware of the current status quo, or of the current state. So become aware is the first one. What do you think will be the second one? So if the first one is just become aware, just acknowledge, yes, this is what I'm experiencing, I named it. What will be the second one? What will be the second step? Second step. I don't know if you remember, in one of my posts, I was using an example. It was a visual of a person who was trying to reject the guest that was coming to the house. And the guest was really trying to, enter the house at different ways. And that person was just closing the door, not allowing the guest to come in. And I really like to say, you may disagree with me, but I really like to say that feelings are like special messengers that come to us to give us some information, to give us a message. So they are very special guests because they come for a reason. Okay, and in the second step, which I just mentioned, yes, Marian is saying breathing and count to 10. That's a good one. Yes, breathe and count to 10. And then just actually the second step is to experience it without judging it or engaging in that emotion too much. And I'm going to expand on this. So, in this image of a guest wanting to come in and enter the house, it would just mean we open the door to that guest, let the guests sit in the living room or saloon or whatever you have, and let the guests speak, and we just listen to it. So let the emotion speak and we just listen to it. We just observe it. And in this way, we experience it. But this does not mean avoiding it, kind of like trying to, shut the door. It doesn't mean suppressing it, repressing it. It doesn't mean judging it. We are judging it like, why did you come? Like, why did you want to tell me this? It doesn't mean fighting with it. It doesn't mean freezing either. It just means experiencing it. It means kind of like surrendering to that emotion. So this guest, if you imagine this person sitting in your living room, is trying to tell you something, is this messenger, this emotion with this message, information for you. And you just listen. Then very often, when you're listening and experiencing it, you just accept it, like this is what happened, and this is what you are trying to tell me. And when you let it speak, then very likely this emotion will leave. Not always, and I will give you instances or what to do if it doesn't leave. Very often, it either leaves or it's there and you can still continue with your day. So that will be the third step. After you experience it in the second step, and kind of observe it, accept it. The third step is just allow it to be there. Imagine like you're in your house, this guest is still sitting in the living room. You're not going to engage with that guest, you're not going to bake for that guest, you're not going to fight with that guest. You just let the guest be there and you go on with your day. You go to your laptop if you need to work on your laptop, you go and cook for your family if you need to do that, or you do the hovering or take a bath, whatever you need to do. You continue with your day and you allow your guest, your emotion, to be there. And very often, if this really happened in the real world, the guest would not want to be stay there. It wouldn't want to stay there longer. Would just leave, right? Because they would see like, okay, there is it. Like I delivered the message I was supposed to. So that was the third step. But then I mentioned that sometimes this guest, this emotion doesn't leave, and not just doesn't leave, because sometimes those emotions stay there for longer, but we just are so neutral towards them or like so okay with them that we don't even notice they are there. But if that emotion gets like if we get these triggers that this emotion gets like alive again and again, then it means that this doesn't work when we try to uh, deal with this emotion through our thoughts, feelings, or body doesn't work. So in this case, it's very important to acknowledge that maybe it's some kind of trauma or something much bigger than we can deal with. And in this case, it's important to seek professional help. And there are different types of therapies. For example, my favorite one is tapping therapy. And when it's with specialist professionals and it's led in a correct way, it really, really helps me. But there are different ways. And it's important then to go really to the root of that emotion. What actually even started this emotion? When did it happen? When was the first time it happened? And what kind of things it created for us? Maybe we even created some beliefs and we get triggered every time when somebody touches on that emotion. So then the fourth step would be seek professional help if these steps before don't really work. So let me just read a few comments and then we will just repeat this one. Lee is saying, I also heard a talk about racket sports because of the focus, balance, etc. that are required. It really challenges the brain. Yes, exactly. So this is a good way to be focused, and not to be in our past or in the future. Um, yes. So Marian is saying feeling as messages is really good. Yes. So it's a message. So like emotion is a message of something that we need to know about. And the stronger the emotion, the kind of more important or more urgent the message is, right? If we get triggered just a little bit and it's not as important, well, then the message wasn't as important maybe. But if the emotion is really strong, then the message is really strong behind that emotion. Virginia is saying, this reminds me of the book, The Wisdom of the Five Messengers. Yes, exactly. So these are messengers. Emotions are actually messengers. And thank you so much, Virginia, for being here. Good. So, which of these steps maybe surprised you? So the first step again was become aware. Second one was experience the emotion, observe it without judging it and without interacting with it too much. The third step of these methods was allow it to be there and you move on with your day. And the fourth one, if this emotion still persists for some days and weeks, then seek professional help because it's something much deeper and maybe it's harder to deal with it by yourself only. Which of these steps maybe surprised you, you didn't expect, or you would like to comment on any of these steps? Or maybe ask questions even if you have any questions. Anybody? Any questions? Any comments? Okay, so I will give space to questions if you have questions or comments, and potentially we can just cover very quickly the third way, which is hacking into our emotional state through thoughts. And this is actually about analyzing things, using your mental faculties to analyze the situation. This is usually a good way to do or to approach our emotions when we had an emotional reaction in some kind of situation. So this is circumstantial. If something happened and we reacted. So this way, through thoughts, we can analyze it and see how we can work with it. Who is ready for the third method, which is hacking into our emotional state through thoughts? Just say, ready. Okay, and Katya is saying what was, I guess, maybe surprising or takeaway from the previous steps was to accept the emotion. Yes, accept the emotion. So this is very important, and I was about to mention it now, that if we don't accept something, then it's going to be showing up again and again. It's going to be persistent and unpleasant, right? Because if we accept something, it doesn't have a reason to be showing off and showing up persistently, because acceptance is what actually um, acknowledges that emotion, and it says like, it's okay, I accept that I felt that. It doesn't mean um, that I want to be experiencing it again and again, but I just accept what I did or how I felt, and I've got the right to feel this way. So I just accept myself. And this is very important because very often we have very good emotional responses, and for some reason we accept and love them very easily and naturally. But when we have sometimes unpleasant emotional reactions, we are more hesitant to accept them. But we should equally accept both. And yes, a few of you are already saying you are ready for the next and last method that I wanted to share with you today. So it's through your thoughts. And then at the end, you can tell me which one maybe resonated with you the most. So here are again 4 steps. The very first one, so imagine something happened, and I will give you an example from my own life so that we speak about something very tangible. When I was a teacher entrepreneur, which I started to be 4 years ago, after about 3 months, I got my first 3 clients. 6 weeks, I got my first 3 clients. But then I had 5 months approximately. I didn't get any clients, any new clients, any new students, right? So I was having the previous one, and I had a lot of sales sessions. So it wasn't a problem, like it wasn't working, like people didn't see me, but it's just I didn't convert them into my clients in those sales sessions. So after 5 months, I had more than 15 strategy sessions, and I was really upset. I was super upset. I was crying a lot, and I was frustrated, and I didn't understand like what's going on here. I do the correct things. I do everything I'm supposed to do in terms of strategy. I'm consistent. I haven't missed a day when I didn't send, at that time it was 100 messages every day, and other things. I was really diligent with all my steps, and I got upset. So this was the situation that made me upset. And now I'm going to show you these 4 steps on this situation, okay? So the first step is be aware of what the fact is. So name the fact. So mention the fact. What is the fact of this situation? Like what really happened? So this is the fact. So what really happened is that I had 15 sales sessions, and I didn't close any of them. That's a fact. Now, the second step is, because the fact itself doesn't make us feel upset. If you just say it like this, it doesn't make you feel upset. The fact itself almost never makes you upset. But then the second step is the meaning you give to it. So, what meaning did you give to this situation? And these meanings are something like filters. And we have filters, everybody's filters are different. So, one piece of information can be approached or faced very differently by someone and then very differently by somebody else. Okay, so basically, it's what filter did I use? What meanings did I give to the situation? And unfortunately, I didn't give many productive like filters to the situation. So the filters I gave to the situation was that I'm not a good teacher entrepreneur, or that I'm not a good salesperson, or my mini programs or my programs I had at that time are not good enough to attract the right people. Or another was like, how am I going to survive financially if I am going to have more months like this? Like, I feel helpless. So I was giving these different meanings uh, to the situation. So in the second step, it's important to be aware, just to be aware what meanings I give to the situation. And again, without judging it, because if we judge those meanings, then the process after that will not work really well. So it's important just to be really honest with ourselves, really frank, and say actually what meanings we give to it. This activity is good when you do it on a piece of paper when it's really strong emotional reaction. And maybe at the beginning, if you don't feel like you have any experience with this method, but later you can do it in your head as well. Would I sometimes feel like, oh, I can't really deal with it in my head? I write it down. So the second step, what meanings did I give to this situation? Now, when we have facts and filters, in the third step, we can separate them. We can separate, okay, this is the fact, and these are the meanings I gave to it. And actually, what is happening there, we are becoming aware, like, oh, okay, this is the fact, and these are different meanings I gave to it. And potentially, if there was somebody else, they would give even different other meanings to it. Maybe one of the meanings would be, wow, you're doing really well. You quit your, or like you are not a general English teacher anymore, but had enough courage to start this entrepreneurship, and you are so persistent and consistent every day despite these challenges. Like, wow, you are an entrepreneur. So different people could have different filters, and this is not to say like it's bad or good, but just to acknowledge that yes, we all have different filters, how we look at the same situation differently. So the third step, you separate them and become aware and kind of accept that it's okay, even though I gave these maybe not very productive meanings to the situation. And very often, by all of this, the situation becomes a little bit less charged, or like a little bit more neutral. I'm not saying like completely everything disappears, not, but at least we can come to the fourth step with more openness and with less hurt. And the fourth step, what do you think is the fourth step? Who will tell? What do you think is the fourth step? And in the meantime, Lee is saying, for me, it's a challenge not to judge. Judge myself for having those emotions is the stoic Finnish culture in me. I like Lee how you incorporate Finnish culture in this. Love it. Then it's Slovak culture as well, I guess. I do have challenge as well, Lee, not to judge. I think at least now I'm a little bit more aware when I judge those feelings, which is good as well, like just to be aware. But yes, I do have a challenge not to judge myself too. Um, and Marian is saying, yes, unpleasant thoughts can bring you down, but now I say, that was then, this is now. Yes, that's a good one. That's a very empowering way of looking at it. So, what is the fourth step? Nobody's saying it out loud. Is it that you know and you want to keep it to yourself? Because one thing is, very often we experience our lives kind of by subconsciously giving different filters and meanings to the situation. So we don't even become aware. But again, by separating these facts and story, or like facts and filters, facts and meanings, we become aware and we are more conscious of the process and we are more deliberate with everything. So the fourth step is actually deliberately choosing the empowering meaning you want to give to the situation. Now, this cannot happen when you're still in that emotional reaction and when you can't even separate what is the fact and what is the meaning. So the fourth one is, again, you can give deliberately, consciously give empowering meaning to that situation. And exactly as Nabila is saying, reframing. Yes, reframing. But you know what happened? And this is something I will share from my own life. Something a little bit personal, but maybe not too personal. Um, I think since I was a child, I was I've been very good at reframing situations in my life and kind of be or feel or appear empowered when even like a lot of challenges were happening. But what I realized only recently is that a true powerful reframing, which is transformational reframing, cannot be really transformational if you don't really accept all the emotions or whatever challenges are happening in your life. And I feel like I didn't really not just accept, but I didn't really experience them like truly properly. And then it felt like this reframing wasn't really transformational, uh, as it usually is when you experience those emotions, meaning you really acknowledge them and you accept them and you love yourself even with those emotions, unpleasant emotions. So, as Nabila said, reframing can be really transformational if you do all these steps before, if you really accept and love yourself despite you feeling upset and angry that you didn't close 10 potential students or clients. Um, and that, I guess, it's kind of like powerful vulnerability, or how you would call it. Like, yes, this happened, and I'm a human. I felt upset. I felt like a failure, and it's okay that I felt that way, and I accept it, and I love myself even feeling that way. But now I choose, and only if you choose it, of course. If you don't want to feel better, you don't have to do this. And there are sometimes periods of our lives when we literally don't want to feel better for some reason or another. But if you want to feel better, you can always deliberately choose the most empowering meaning. And literally now, if you gave me, um, well, I know there are many challenging situations, but even in the most challenging situations, we can always find this empowering meaning we want to give to it. Of course, everybody at their own time, on their own pace, but we can do it. Yes, exactly, Nabila. That's exactly what it was. I think you put it in a better way. I see what you mean. It sounds like you are forcing yourself. Yes, yes, that's exactly what was happening in my case many times when I was forcing myself to be empowered. Where actually inside me, this inner child in me just wanted to be upset longer and maybe even wanted others to feel sorry for this child inside me. Like, it's okay to be upset. And even maybe sometimes, and I guess this is never like the perfect recipe for anything, but sometimes it's actually okay to be or to let yourself be down, but in an aware state for a few days. Then when I was kind of experiencing these aha moments, like, okay, I don't have to force myself to feel better all the time. I remember I had days, especially it's when I moved from one country to another as a digital nomad. I always have the last day. It's a very upsetting day. I only cry, so I don't book any sessions on the last day before I leave because I already know I will not be in the best state to help anyone. You know, so so then I learned actually to kind of take off the last day before I move and to allow myself to feel so down and to be okay with that. So that's what I meant, Nabila. Yes, that's not forcing yourself. That's your enjoying, not enjoying it. It's not just about enjoying it, but you allow yourself to feel down a little bit longer because that's what you need more than feeling better in that case. Yes, it's a learning curve, definitely, Marianne. That's how I feel all the time. So these were three methods how we can hack into our emotional state through our body, through our feelings, and through our thoughts. Which one was your favorite, or is your favorite? You can just mention it. Which one is your favorite? Because we are going to be coming towards the end of this session, and I just would love to know which one was your favorite. And then I will share with you kind of like the summary, like a cheat sheet from this session if you want to, and I will tell you as well what the next session is going to be about. Okay, so for Marian, it was, I like the idea of messengers. Yes, messengers. That was one of my kind of aha moments as well. Like, okay, these emotions are just messengers. Thank you for sharing, Marianne. And Katya is saying, the easiest one is body, but my favorite is thought. Thank you for sharing, Katya. Yes, the easiest one is body. Sometimes, funny enough, I think my most powerful one is actually going through thoughts. I'm quite good at analyzing, but my like novelty is really going or hacking into my emotional state through my body. I find it really interesting. I didn't realize it before that actually you can feel better just by having different postures and doing different activities. So it's a good one. For Maya is as well messengers. Good. So that was one of your most favorite. Good. Now the next the topic for the next, well, the topic I will be covering and will be speaking about in 2 weeks is going to be the topic that was chosen by Patricia. Patricia is not here today, but she chose the topic of effective morning routines to have a successful and productive day. So, what do you think about this topic? Do you already feel like you have amazing morning routines that you don't need to learn anything new here? Or what do you think about this topic? Are you happy? If you're happy, just say happy. If not, give me suggestions. I will take a screenshot again, and I'm going to have one of those sessions in the future on whatever you suggest. David is saying, I usually focus on my body to combat my feelings and thoughts, but it sounds like I need to incorporate more awareness of my emotions and thoughts. Good, David. So yes, you will just do it as it feels, like as it feels to you, or like it feels to you. If it feels right to you, you will just use one of those methods. If usually really going or facing it through your body helps you, that's great. So Maya is happy with the topic, and Katya is saying, yes, I have a very good morning routine. Okay, and Virginia is sharing something else. I think she's finishing the sentence. Okay, great. So let's just see. But this looks like the next potential topic, or there was another one because I had just two. Why I procrastinate in my thoughts and actions. So which one would you like more? We will do all of them at some point, but which one would you like for the next time? The morning routines, or why I procrastinate in my thoughts and actions? That was a topic from Adi. So you can choose, and then you will see how I decided. And also, so you can choose the topic, or you can tell me about the topic, and I would like to hear about your takeaways as well. What are you taking away? Okay, procrastination. Procrastination sounds good. So two people chose procrastination. Okay, good to know. And Lee's sharing, yes, through my body, that was your kind of most maybe favorite method. So procrastination, that will be the next topic then. That's okay. That's great. We can do that. And what I wanted to do, just one thing before we finish, I just wanted to share my screen with you so that you can see what kind of events we are going to have now in July. So as I said, we have mindset topics every second week. So the next one will be in 2 weeks from now at exactly the same time. And you can always edit your calendar and then watch even other sessions, mindset sessions from the past here. But the next big workshop or session that we have is Canva and artificial intelligence, AI. So that's a workshop with Christy and James, and you are invited to join this workshop. It's on 30th of July for 2 hours from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. I'm going to share the link with you so that you can register for free, and you're going to learn a lot of cool stuff about Canva and AI. I always learn something new from Christy. So this is the link for events, and you can just register for that one. Great. Um, nice, nice, nice. And David is saying as well, I have a great morning routine and I never do it. I'm a single dad and business owner, so my routine is constantly changing depending on my schedule with my son or without my son and clients. Okay. Mm-hmm. Great, David. So it's good that you have a great morning routine, but I guess as well flexible one. And Virginia, let's not forget about the role of nutrition. Nutrition is everything in emotional regulation and control. Water, protein, and gut health equals brain health. 100% Virginia. Actually, I'm sleeping now 9 hours every day, and I didn't feel. I mean, I can't remember when I felt better in terms of like this energy in my body because of good sleep. And yes, nutrition. 100% agree with you, Virginia. And it's a good topic actually. I don't think I'm an expert to talk about this topic, about topic of nutrition, but I definitely can speak as a student of like how I'm applying this in my own life. 100% agree with you, and it's a good takeaway, Virginia. Great. Um, so I think you got the link for the events, and the last thing I wanted to share with you is actually the link from today's session, so that you can have, if you want, like a cheat sheet of everything we discussed today, in just one in one link, one place. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have any more comments or questions, just ask here and I will be able to respond even later. And I will see you in 2 weeks in our next mindset session. Take care and have a good time. Yes, bye, bye, bye.